Thank you for tuning into the Garage Cast. I'm your host, Arman Hocker. Today, my guest is Antonio Betulia of Metal Lab 101 fame. So, Tony, are you there? Are you on the line? He's a phone.
Yes,
guy. Awesome. So, me and Tony know each other for a while. It's just like a lot of my guests. Know him for a while. Worked with him. Everything's fun and dandy. But he has a podcast. He's a co-host with a couple of your friends,
Neil Style and Kevin Parry.
Yeah, the trio of New York. Oh, the podcast is called Metal Lab 101. So, Tony, how'd you guys? This sounds like such an interview, but how'd you guys start? Because you guys started a month or two before me, so I was going to you guys for a lot of help and just how to get started and stuff, man. How'd you guys start?
I think pretty much the way that we started with everything was go from an idea that we had. We were watching the fights one night, and I'm not going to say I take credit for it, but the whole fight companion thing was me and Neil's idea before Joe Rogan.
So you guys foreseeably have a lawsuit on your hands where,
I do. I highly doubt my divorce attorney could handle that.
But that may be the payoff. You guys get free Onnit supplies for life. I mean, you could be alpha brained out.
I'm down with the alpha brain, free alpha brain forever.
Right.
Actually, we had the idea, and it just kind of went from there. Neil had a bunch of recording, and they both had a bunch of recording equipment from, they do a lot of metal music and record their own stuff, so we just kind of went from there, and it blossomed into just having fun and being able to talk. That's really it.
Yeah, I knew I wasn't sure what exactly it was going to be. I mean, it is Metal Lab, so I thought it was going to be you guys describe it as mixed martial arts, current events and everything, but I thought, Metal Lab, I'm not going to want to listen to this. But I listened to a few episodes, and it was I think it's better. This is I'm on the outside looking in. I look at you guys got 3 people, so it's better for a conversation. It's like me, when I do mine, sometimes I'll just be by myself, which is very hard to keep things going, because it's all in my head. But with you guys got 3 people, maybe if one guy. I think the first or second episode, you weren't there, you phoned in. But even then, you could see the chemistry. You guys were, joking and talking about stuff, man. So I guess
And I mean, that's the biggest thing is, we actually think what you do is amazing.
Well,
we're like, how did you sit there and put out content? This isn't a 10-minute podcast, you know what I mean? You're putting out
10 minutes would be perfect, but yeah.
You're putting out, solid hour content almost every time out and alone. And we kind of we wanted to do the 2-hour thing, but, I guess you get caught up, and half the bullet points you don't go through when you're doing it.
Yeah.
You're like, we talked about, apes for 30 minutes at one point. You don't know where anything goes all the time. So I guess that's probably the hardest part is trying to get everything together. You hit it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you at the end of one, you're like, wow, that was actually a really good show.
Yeah. I've had one of those so far.
And then there's some of those ones where you walk out and you're like, what the hell did we talk about?
Yeah.
My girlfriend came up to me and she was like, I don't know what show it was. She's like, you did not curse the entire time.
Yeah, it happens, man.
I don't know. But plus the first 4 episodes I was drinking during them. So but you don't even realize it. It was you were going to see Antonio where I was, 7 beers deep after 40 minutes. I'm starting to slur my words.
Right.
Can't be that guy.
Yeah, I didn't know how I was going to do it because I'm not even sure when I started. I think February. Whenever I started, I did a recording, just a basic recorded straight to the computer, quote unquote podcast with my wife, and she didn't really know what it was. I didn't know what it was, and it was horrible. But what I found out was, you have to kind of have when you're doing it solo, you have to have some sort of some bullet points to talk about. And to I guess pull the curtain back, I do when I was doing a lot of them by myself. I would have a piece of paper there, and it'll be God, I can't think. Nick Diaz, and McGregor, whatever. Diaz, it'd be like Diaz and McGregor. Cyclist uses motor and bike to win the race. Like it will have all these bullet points, but that was just to cover 20 minutes, and all I was shooting for was 30. So the more I did that, and I think it happens with you guys too. You kind of have to get through those pretty much horrible experiences to figure out how to go from this to that. And I've seen some podcasts that are from bigger people, more popular people. Well, they'll literally just stop. All right, now we're going to do current events. I go, that's kind of weak, man. Because if it were me, it wouldn't fly. So that's why I try to kind of talk about things and move through it a lot smoother. But I look at you guys and I think, man, you guys got 3 people. That's an easy day. But I also thought about the logistics is trying to get everybody there, like we were talking about before a little bit, trying to get everybody there when everyone's schedule is open for let's just say 2 hours, right? Because you're gonna have to set up, record, and then do whatever.
Right. When we would go live, I mean, I was there an hour early.
Yeah.
So you're setting up people. I mean, we weren't very technical as iPhone camera job.
Yeah.
Like of just when someone, it was like the Rogan show when guys are talking, and we got away from that. And I think I don't know. Maybe it burnt us out, or we just got. It was because it was laziness.
Yeah.
Not because I don't want to see my friends, but because maybe I was busy or
Right.
I didn't want to just move. After a week of work and stuff like that, we're all tired. I mean, Kevin works concerts. He's going to work at 11:30 at night.
Stay.
So
Yeah.
it's tough work.
Yeah, I know. Because you guys have the I saw you guys did that live feed stuff. I thought that was pretty brave for not having a podcast or anything before. It'd be different if you guys had a had a talk show, so you knew how to keep things going on the fly. But you guys were on what was it called? Live stream. You guys were on live stream, and I thought it was like it's great, but man, it takes some balls, man, to actually go live like that. But
I mean, you just go with. I think a lot of times it's also the way that you may have it easier as opposed to you have 3 people. You know what I mean? So when someone forgets what to say, not forget what to say, but you run out of things to talk about. You have those other 2 people to pick up.
Yeah. So you guys what was I saying? Oh yeah, so it is weird because I look at you guys say, yeah, what I do is hard, and I look at you guys go, man, what you guys do is hard. Just because right now, aside from telling you or asking you to be on this episode, I literally will just go to my garage and set up and record. But you guys, I look at you guys and go, man, that's crazy because you guys have kids, you guys have jobs, and then you guys have a personal life. Just trying to line all that up, man. I always look at it and go, man, every time I hear an episode, I go, that is amazing that you guys can talk and keep it on, let alone having a guest on. Because you guys had a few guests, and I was just like to get everything to flow with a guest on top of 3 people. I'm like, that takes skill. That takes a talent, man.
Oh, that's one of the hardest parts is easily getting a guest and trying to coordinate timing with them.
Yeah.
For example, let's say Matt, when we had Matt Hobar on, who actually recently retired from MMA.
Yeah.
But trying to get him on, it was like, okay, you know what? We decided it was going to be a phone call, and then we were like, let's just FaceTime it. Because I felt like there was more, of an interaction with a face. You know what I mean? It's difficult to say. But long story short, those times changed 7 to 8 times. You know what I mean? Just having to say, I can't make it, I'm training, or I can't make it, I'm working.
Yeah.
So we keep doing that. That's the hardest part of the thing with the guests.
Yeah, man. The overall, man, I think I hope both of us do pretty well because the idea of podcasting is pretty simple. You're almost pulling the curtain back and kind of showing people, well, this is what we talk about. Because there's somebody out there that's if a girl can get 10 million views on YouTube from smashing her face into baked goods, into bread, somebody wants to hear about what we're talking about. Whether it's because you're from New York or whether I'm from Ohio, right? But you always want to hear someone else's perspective, man. So the way
Yeah,
the fact that it's even done from, and then look at us. I mean, we're somebody, but we're not big famous people, and I'm still getting downloads. I'm still getting comments. So still amazing to me. Like, oh man, I can still do this. Which I never thought the podcast would take off like this. It didn't. It's not taking off. I'm not number one, but even to get any recognition, I go, man, that's pretty slick, dude.
I know it's actually fun. When I was at jiu-jitsu practice about a month ago, and two of the guys in the class came up to me like, "Hey man, I listen to your show."
Yeah.
I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Cause that's what you do it for. But when someone comes up to you like, "Oh man, episode 7, that was great," you're like, "What? People, human beings listen aside from me? You guys listen to it?" Yeah, me and my wife just came back from California, and I've had her on here, and she has her own company thing, right? Which this episode is sponsored by. But she has her own thing. And so what happened was someone commented in her Facebook group like, "Hey, I was into fitness and everything, so I started listening to Garage Cast and the episode with Desiree. You guys are great. Your chemistry is great." And she's just to hear that from a person. That person may subscribe to my podcast. They may join my wife's group or whatever it is. But just to get that feedback, I had to ask my wife to read it twice. I was like, wait, what are they talking about? You? I'm thinking, are they talking about my wife or are they talking about the podcast? And just to hear that kind of stuff, it's almost weird. But I go, okay, I think I'm getting to where I want to be, which is good. So I'll keep it up.
Yeah, it wasn't like, I want fame from it, but it was just fun because I see all these other people with platforms. Yeah, a lot of them are celebrities, but some of these people are nobody.
Yeah.
And they just started a podcast talking about things. And, does it help when you have, your name's Joe Rogan, you have on, let's say, Mark Maron, or you have on these doctors, or
right.
you have, I would love to do that, but, it's difficult when you have no following. Why is someone going to want to jump on a show? A lot of people did a solid, man, by coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's actually the music industry and the film industry and fighters and the gym community, because they're all struggling.
Yeah.
Everyone at our level is struggling to want to make it to a higher level of where they're at.
Yeah.
And those communities all are pretty much uniquely the same thing. It's weird. They have the same mindset.
Yeah.
So it's easy to get those people on as opposed to, like, I can't just go up to some Mercedes-Benz with some MG plates and be like, you want to come on my show?
Yeah.
Or maybe I'll get my pediatrician to come on.
Hey, when I ask people to be on the show, I kind of don't feel right because I'm thinking, like, when I see other people that I want on the show, to me, they're already ahead of me. That's why I'm asking them. And when I'm asking them, I'm really hoping they say yes, but I'm not surprised if they say no. Like, I talked to Project Six Killer. That's the that's the guy I was talking about before. Well, they're together, right? Mr. and Mrs. Six Killer. Talking to them, I'm thinking, in my mind, man, those guys are already up there. I mean, they had a gym behind them, and they're pushing out product, and they're selling stuff. I bought some of their stuff. So when I ask them, I'm really thinking, oh man, if this person or these people say yes, I'm so indebted to them. And thank you for being on the show. But I feel like I'm so indebted, man. But I'm so happy when I get a guest like that because I'm like, oh, because I think they're interesting. I just wanted you to come on and just talk about your life. Talk about how you got to where you got.
That's the way to do it. That's the best way to do it.
Yeah. So Metal Lab 101. You guys are out of New York. And so you guys have this, the MMA. When's the first fight going to be? Does anybody know yet?
The first UFC, I think, is supposed to be in November at the Garden, which I'm not even going to attempt to get tickets to go there. So.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you should just stand outside so you can say you were there.
Yeah, I'm going to be like all those Ranger fans in 1994 standing outside of Madison Square Garden.
Stop it. Good old Ranger fans. So now that's for everything, not just the UFC. Mixed martial arts is legal, so now you can have, in a sense, Bellators and King of the Cage and all these guys up there, right?
Yeah, no, it'll be great. I mean, there's been some amateur events in New York before it was sanctioned.
Yes.
But, dude, non-sanctioned events, you might not have paramedics at. You know what I mean? You don't want to mess around with that.
Yeah. Well, because once it's sanctioned, all that stuff is provided, right? The medicals and securities and all that. So
I believe so.
Isn't so what? So all right, now here's the big thing, because this is going back a few UFC events now. You had Weidman wanting to do super fights with Jones in New York, and now those guys are out of the picture. So what do you think is going to be the draw, if you could speculate? Because look at the what is it, 135 female champ? That's already changed 3 times since November. When did Holly Holm fight Ronda? I think it was November or something. So it's already changed.
It's going to be tough to. I think you have at 203. Don't be surprised. I don't know if they've made any announcements on UFC 203 yet.
Yeah.
But if you could speculate, or if I was, now that the UFC's been sold, whoever's doing the matchmaking, if Sean Shelby's still around, or you know what I mean, or just
they've got to keep those guys in, though.
Exactly. They know until and that's going to run it is trained up on it.
Yeah.
I would say you got to get Weidman on the card.
Yep.
And then that's me, because they're already pushing this Big Bing Henderson title match, which is hysterical. But
with UK, yeah.
So I think you can actually do Bisping and Weidman and Rockhold on the New York card.
Yep. And
win or lose, depending on his turnaround, I think you could put Conor McGregor on this card against, Jose, if he can make 45 again. That's going to be your biggest draw right now, unless Ronda comes back for it.
Yeah,
which I don't know if that's going to happen, because, she's talking about killing herself and having babies at the same time. So I don't know.
It's a strange combination. But you got to look at Ronda too, man. She was personally, and if I wish I recorded more podcasts and just my life earlier, she was skilled, but I never thought she was dominant. Because if you look at somebody like Cyborg, Christina, you look at her, she seemed more dominant than Ronda. Ronda just seemed like, and I practice jiu-jitsu, not anymore, but it was a judo jiu-jitsu dojo, right? We learned judo. And the simplest thing was, to not get thrown, drop your hips lower than their hips. Easy day. And to me, every time I saw Ronda throw somebody, I forget what it was. I forget the move. Every time I saw that, I went, how are you not just training judo defense? Because when Holly fought her, that's exactly what she did. Oh, you want to clinch up? We can sit here. That's fine. I'll just drop a little lower than your hips, and it stops you. So when Ronda was so dominant in the UFC, I used to always look and go, she's not that dominant. I mean, if you stay away from her so you don't go in the clinch. If you go in the clinch, be forward with it, and it's going to neutralize Ronda. Yes.
I think the biggest, it just popped in my head now that Misha lost. I think that's the fight you make for the Madison Square Garden one, is a Ronda Misha.
Yeah. Now,
and this time, I think Misha walked through her.
Yeah.
Walked through.
Yeah, because Misha was the first to take her to 5 rounds, right?
She took her to 3, and I mean, it wasn't. Look, Misha has a chin on her.
Yes, sir.
Like a chin. And Ronda, I mean, her hands are okay. Misha's, more of a dog fight, but that's the problem. There's a couple of chicks that Amanda Nunes is good, but a lot of people know that her cardio isn't great.
Yeah.
So you got to look at people that can give Ronda props.
Yeah.
And it's people like Holly Holm. Misha, maybe if she has the right game plan, uses a jab. You know what I mean? Doesn't throw a lot of kicks. And Sean, and then go with legitimate, just straight striker.
Yeah.
And there's what's that girl's name? She's fighting Holly Holm actually. Semenko. That girl is like a world Muay Thai champion.
Yeah.
She's like on Muay Thai. That girl can give someone like Ronda problems.
Yeah, to me, I think if it's been said before, I think I think Ronda bought into the hype. Don't get me wrong, she was the champion and she was beating people, but I definitely believe that she thought she was good. So when she finally lost, and here's the thing, I was just thinking about this morning, when she lost, she didn't get beat. It wasn't every round wasn't close. She lost that fight. And when you lose like that after dominating for so long, you do have those, I want to kill myself thoughts because to me, she believed it. I'm a guy that says,
welcome to New York, by the way.
New York, son. I'm a guy that says, I'm almost 40. I'm going to race you. I'm going to try to outlift you. I'm going to compete. But if you're better than me, well, guess what? You're most likely going to win. But to me, Ronda didn't have that mentality. She had the mentality was, I'm going to walk through this girl. And if you notice, this is quarterback coaching. No, what is it? Couch quarterbacking. To me, if you look at the 90s Bulls and the Lakers, how Phil Jackson used to do it. Phil Jackson would just sit on the bench and go, hey, man, you guys are getting beat. Figure it out. And they would figure it out. But when Ronda was getting beat, to me, when she was getting just ragdolled, I'm thinking, oh, you need to stay away from Holly. And if for the first round, for the rest of the other 2 minutes and 50 seconds of the first round, just run, get back to your corner, reset, and come out in the second round. It was to me, she couldn't figure that out. She thought, nah, I'll just go strike for strike with her. Don't do that with Holly, man.
Well, it wasn't even that. It's bad coaching. I said this a while ago. I said, right after the loss, I said the only way she can compete is if she switches gym.
Yeah.
If you listen to the corner, that guy Edmund was like, you're doing great.
Hysterical.
Nothing wrong.
Hysterical.
You just got punched in the face way too many times. You need to.
When I heard that, because they mic the corners or whatever, I went, you got to be kidding me. It wasn't this kind of like, hey, hang in there, champ. No, you're doing great, champ. No, she's not. Blatantly.
You need to tell me. You need to, when I got knocked out in my last fight, I got up and I was like, what happened? He's like, my coach was like, straight up, he's like, you got knocked out. I was like, oh.
Oh, all right, cool.
I didn't know. I got up and I was like, what happened?
Yeah, but that's what I mean. I think that even her gym believed the hype. Because if you talk to, because a lot of fighters have done it, they will. What's the guy? What's the Norwegian guy? Whatever. Gustafsson, Alex. Him and quite a few fighters will bounce from gym to gym to get some specialty training. Because if I'm not a judo guy, I'm going to go to a judo gym and work with those guys for 6 weeks, building up to a camp or building up to a fight, just because I know that I already know this. It's rare. Maybe was it Winklejohn Jackson's? That's a camp where they're pretty versed, right? But for the average fighter, I would bounce from camp to camp, not to not be loyal, but to go, yeah, man, the striking here is good, but I want to go over here and strike with these guys. And I guarantee you'll learn more stuff because somebody there is not used to seeing you strike. So they're going to pick you apart, and the guys you're sparring with are going to pick you apart. So I think, yes, if she wants to win and become more dominant, she has to get out of that. Oh, man. I think we just lost old Tony. The cell phone interview crutches. Let's try to get him back. Try to get him back on the line. Hey, Kev, can you get Tony back on the line? No. What's going on with this?
Please leave your message for.
All right, so yeah, we kind of lost Tony. You got the beauty of cell phone, called in guests. But yeah, I always thought that Ronda, she was, and you believe it, she was pumped up, she was hyped up a lot in the UFC, and if you're gonna get those paychecks and everything, you'll start to believe it. It's sad to see that she believed it so much that she started thinking about suicide and all this nonsense, man. To me, as Misha Tate also said it, that if you get beat, that's fine. But a real fighter or a real competitor wants to get right back in there. So after, you have your medical stuff and they have medical suspension. So after that, you're, 6 weeks or whatever it is. I feel like, yeah, man, you should jump right back into that just because you want to still be hungry. You want to go back and not necessarily get your belt back, but you want to make sure that loss wasn't a fluke. So that, and you'll see it in many fighters, man. I think one of the guys, Frank Mir, he's been fighting forever, and he took a couple losses. He still came back, and what was it, Orlovsky, same situation. I got a text from Tony. He's in a tunnel. With Orlovsky, the same situation, man. He was in Strike Force, I think K1, but he went on this losing streak, then came back, went over to Jackson's. Pepperoni Tony. Tonio.
Yes, sorry, man. I'm in and out of a tunnel. So if I lose you again, I will wait until the end of the tunnel sequences, and then we'll pick it up as soon as I get out of the tunnel, and then I won't have any more problems with service.
You want to just do that? I can just stop it, and then we can pick up.
No, we can talk for another 10, and I'll lose you, and then we'll get back into it.
All right, but yeah, we were talking about Ronda being that she should, if she's going to come back, she should change some camps, just change some things up. And I think it's healthier for anybody to do that, just because even when you get new coaches in, you want to bring something else to the table. I just think she 100% believes she was the best, which is a bad thing to think.
A big thing is you're being comfortable while you're training.
Yep.
So it could, who knows, Ronda, from the persona she has and the way her mom behaves.
Yep.
It's always been a me first mentality. I'm not trying to judge someone, but so I don't mean to talk sideways about people, but when I was training in Texas, when I was living in Texas and training around some pretty high level people, the rumors about Sage Northcutt were, he doesn't, his parents don't let him train with people that are better than him.
Oh, yeah.
And is that, there could be that thing with Ronda. I don't know. Who's Ronda's rolling partners? The Diaz's? I've seen that one time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Something like this on tape one time. I don't know who she's going against. I know, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Guys that, if you know guys that are coming out of Jackson, they're coming out as straight animals.
Wow.
You know what I mean? They're training with everybody.
Yeah. Even Holm was training with Jones. I mean, just the size. And Jones is not going 100%, but to be able to wrestle with Jones and even strike with him and being around that kind of I want to say excellence, you're going to get better because you're going to feel like you have to catch up to him. Even though he's a guy, even though he's a champion, even though he's a foot taller than Holm, you still have that hunger. And if you train around a bunch of people that you've already rolled with and kind of dominate, your hunger's gone. You're not going to have to figure anything out. And I think that's what happened with that fight. She never had to figure anything out, so she couldn't. Because she tried to judo throw the chick, couldn't do it. Tried the arm bar, couldn't do it. And then she was stuck. She said, I don't know what else to do. So she just kept running into Holly's jabs.
The worst part is it made her look significantly one-dimensional.
Yes.
It made her very one-dimensional. And that's the worst thing you can do at that level. Like, I'm like sitting there the other night, just me and my girlfriend were talking about, me fighting again and her fighting.
What? No, you will not send that angel into the ring. Do you hear me, Tony? You will not.
She wants to do it. It's not even on me. She's the one that wants to do it.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm looking at these guys and I'm like, I'm about to be 30. And I'm like, and I don't train 8 hours a day anymore, and I'm like, I don't know if I do want to fight again, but I'll tell you what, I'm going to stay competitive in jiu-jitsu. I will continue to do tournaments and continue to rank and just stay. Because I'm in love with jiu-jitsu. Yeah. I'm not in love with the faith.
Yeah, to me, I'm older too, man. I'm almost 40. But to me, jiu-jitsu is, I tell my wife she should try it. I would try to get her into judo because there's certain throws you can hold people and kind of neutralize them. But jiu-jitsu, it's such a, if I used to talk to the black belts, I'd hated rolling with them, but I used to talk to them a lot. And they were like, yeah, the belt is a level of knowledge, but it doesn't mean anything. If you can figure it out, a white belt can tap a black belt. You know what I'm saying? So it's that versatile. Unlike boxing where I'm not going to be able, even to this day, I'm not going to be able to catch Mike Tyson with a left hook. What were we talking about?
We were talking about
changing camps and homes.
Your wife taking judo was the last thing I remember.
Oh, yeah. So we were talking about, because I feel like judo, I would rather her, because she's 5'10", right? Pretty tall. I would rather her do judo than jiu-jitsu, but also do jiu-jitsu because I only feel like with jiu-jitsu, if a white belt, white belts, right? They don't know anything, right? But let's just say white belt goes against a black belt. If he's been a white belt for a year and should be a blue belt, right?
Right.
He can figure stuff out to submit the black belt or certainly put that black belt in some danger that he wouldn't expect from a white belt. But I don't feel it's the same way with striking. So that's what I mean when you look at the different martial arts, man, which one is more versatile? And that's why I think that's why you really go to different camps or go to different places or roll with different people. Because even where I used to do jiu-jitsu, I knew who I could beat and I knew who was going to beat. I knew who I could beat and I knew who I was going to have to stall with for those 3 minutes. And
right.
I think if you do that too much, you get that false sense of security. And you think, oh, yeah, I'm ready to fight. Nah, man, you need to go over to a Gracie spot. And then you need to go down to Virginia. And, I think that's where a black belt's a black belt, or blue belt's a blue belt, or a purple belt, or whatever. But you need to either go to different places and roll or start competing because that's when you have to figure stuff out. It's not a check in the box on the chart. Yeah, I can do a rear naked. Got it. Yeah, I'm a blue belt. Nah, man, you need to apply that in the most practical situation without having a street fight.
If there's zero comparison between roll. I mean, we have the hardest practices I've ever had were when I lived in Texas and I was training at Fitness Fight Factory. Shout out to Brendan Quick, Johnny Bedford, Evan Cutts, all those, the Moles brothers, Len Bentley. There's straight savages.
Right.
Like, these are guys who have been in the UFC, who have fought for legacy, who, it's when you're around that group, or a group like that, or a gym like that, where it's every Saturday of MMA, yet they still bring in Crew Bob Perez for seminars, or they bring in, they're bringing in top guys to come there, and that's why I can understand staying at a gym. If they're bringing in people to train, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They do understand. Now, but then there's gyms that will overcharge you, you know what I mean? Because they're saying, oh, so-and-so trains here. They tried, I'm not going to say the gym's name, but a gym in Manhattan tried doing it to my girlfriend, Corey, and they're like, oh, it's $350 a month.
What?
And we were like, yeah. She was like, are you crazy? They were like, oh, you'll be training with so-and-so who's a, huge Muay Thai instructor, very well known in the world.
Right.
Oh, Sarah McMahon's going to do some of her camps here. And I'm like, no one cares. I don't care.
Yeah.
What? So I can get the shit kicked out of me? Excuse my language, by Sarah McMahon? No, I'm good.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
I'm an amateur MMA fighter. People play softball. I get, I throw leg kicks for fun. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It's a different life spectrum, and that's the biggest thing that I wanted to get into. I guess the best part is you have to, within fighting, there's a time when it's going to be with no outside influence, and you have to say to yourself, I'm doing this for fun, right? But my next MMA fight could be against a guy who's doing that for a job.
Yes, I think that's the biggest difference. Yeah.
Regardless if that guy has children or needs to put food on the table, he's going to want it more than me. He does. He wants it more than me. Now, if I got to a comfortable place in life where, as rich people say, my money makes money, I would train all the time. Maybe my mindset would change. But right now, I work for a living.
Right.
Jiu-jitsu is a passion because you can learn jiu-jitsu continuously. Training for a fight, for 8 weeks, and doing that while working full time, but if you want to do it for fun, it's very difficult. And that's where you have to draw the line in training.
Yeah.
If you want it, then I'm telling you now, work a part-time job and be in the gym 7 to 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
There's no way around it. It is a full-time job training for fighting.
Yeah, and I think I don't know if you know Bill Eves. I had him on the podcast, a couple episodes ago, and that's what I was telling him. To me, it's you have to be 100% committed to this because there's someone else out there that is, Because if you're not, if you're like, I'm tired today, I'm not training, you can't do that, man.
Yes, no, it 100% is. But you look at you're going to tell me one day that I'm going to be just, let's say, as good as, a guy like Dustin Poirier.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dustin Poirier fighting for 15 years, pretty much. You know what I mean? These guys have been, they chose that as a living.
Yeah.
It's not for everybody.
Yeah.
It isn't. You know what I mean? Do I get used to getting punched in the face? Yeah, you do. You get used to getting hit in the face. But you know what? The consequences are real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you're in there and you think you're ready and you're not ready, you end up like me. You get a broken face, you break your orbital, your maxillary bone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just happens. That's what happens. It's something you have to dedicate everything to. You have to be, like you said, in it the entire way.
Because I feel like that even with podcasting. I go, I upload once a week or whatever, but I know people that are just out there. Well, I don't know people, but I only assume, because I'm only comparing myself to bigger podcasters. And they go, man, they upload 5 times a week, but they don't have to be anywhere in the morning. They don't have a job. So
exactly.
With this, maybe because there's, I think, what's the guy's name? I'm the champ. Oh, what's the guy's name? Stipe. He was a firefighter, is a firefighter or something, right? And there was
they work 24-hour shifts a week,
Yeah. And it may have been Stipe, but it was years ago, man. This guy was a firefighter, but it was more popular. It was more normal years ago in the UFC where they'd be like, yeah, this guy, he is a firefighter or whatever, but he also does mixed martial arts. But I think nowadays you can't get away with that. And even Stipe. So let's say Stipe before he was a champ. Depending on how long he's with that fire department, he may get special treatment or he may just have to take a month's leave to do his camps. So technically he's still a firefighter, but now he's the world champ. So it's not like I can really work at Dunkin' Donuts and be like, all right, guys, I'm going to holler at you. I'm going to train. That doesn't work anymore, man. Not in the UFC anyway.
You guys, it's very difficult to juggle a full-time job. You know what I mean?
Yeah, with life. Just with life.
And life. Try and get the, it's like, try and get in the gym, have a kid or two, and then go home, be a parent, work, you know,
Yeah.
and also having a partner and giving them the attention that they deserve. It's difficult.
Yeah, you're trying to upload to Instagram. You're trying to, Facebook. It's a rough life. No, but yeah, seriously, man, I think people underestimate it. It's for real.
Now, I would love, ideally, for our show to be 2 times a week, you know, and once my kids head back to Texas, I think that's something that could definitely be done.
Right.
You know, just 2 times a week. But, you know, that's still difficult. We were happy getting one out, you know?
Yeah, yeah, and I think too, because let's compare yourselves to any other podcasters out there, right? Sometimes there's too much content. You know, I don't want to listen. I don't want to hear from you 4 times a week.
Right.
Bill Burr does. You've heard of his. Bill Burr's is Monday morning podcast, and maybe a year ago he started the Thursday afternoon podcast, right? So for me, that's just enough Bill Burr for the week, you know, because there were times I go, man, is it Monday yet? I want to hear from him. But there's some podcasters out there just putting out content more and more and more. And to me, I go, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear him that much. Let's not do that much. So,
Well, yeah, there's some guys that can, though, and that you're totally not, you don't have a problem with. And that's like, for example, to me, I can listen to Joe Rogan himself every day, depending on what guest he has. That's
Yes.
another story.
exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
Joe Rogan has a good voice. He has a good voice. You know what I mean? He has
Yeah.
a good radio voice. It's just overall good. So you don't have a problem hearing him. But like when he has yes, is Dr. Rhonda Patrick intelligent, and does she have things I want to hear? Yes. But 3.5 hours worth? I'm not a doctor. This is an election. I don't need
tough.
to hear. I'm good.
Yeah, it's tough, man. Sometimes I've noticed that with Joe but I'll pick my spots because he'll have somebody on there. Joey Diaz is hit and miss with me, but he'll have when he was into UFOs and Bigfoot, I could listen to him all day because it's all hypothetical, right? But yeah, if it's depending on the guest, man, it's tough to get through 3 hours, let alone that. Because he had I hate to pump this guy, he doesn't need my help, but he had Andrew Dice Clay on the show, but that episode was only about 1 hour and 10 minutes. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. You got Dice on, and it's only 1 hour? No.
You know, I listened to that. It was one of the worst podcasts I've ever heard.
Yeah, it just didn't, and maybe because it was so short, they couldn't really get into the flow of it. But I thought something happened where it only downloaded 1 hour. I go, let me go download it again. Nah, just 1 hour with Dice.
I thought you were saying that something maybe happened in the studio, and you can kind of hear it because he was like, "What?" He yells at Andrew Dice Clay's manager.
Yeah,
Why are you even in here?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I was like, Joe Rogan gives 0 fucks.
Yeah.
0. And it was noticeable there, and I was like, Jesus, and I didn't even edit it out. There was 0 editing,
Yeah.
which it was crazy. I was like, wow, all right.
Sometimes you need that, man.
Yeah. I mean, you could tell, though, that Joe Rogan despises any handler. You know what I mean? Anyone's handler, he hates.
Yeah.
He puts out all his own content. He wears Honest shirts to weigh in. He doesn't care.
Yeah, but
You know what I mean?
yeah, he's at a point where he doesn't have to, you know. And I think Brendan, I don't really care for Brendan so much, but he does make valid points. Like he was at a point with sponsorships and everything where it didn't staying in the UFC and getting that Reebok money. It didn't matter. He was already past that. And I think Joe and Brendan are in that position where it's like I'm not jumping through those hoops, man. Oh, you're not gonna have me on stage reading the weights at the fights? Okay. Joe's like, all right, I'll just do a fight companion. You know, I'll be at home with my family. I think they're at the point where they can kind of back off of that stuff.
Well, that Brendan Schaub, Joe Rogan, was one of the best podcasts. It's the conversation that you always think happens between athletes and their friends or someone that's past their prime and a close person or a coach.
You're talking about where Joe was like, you'll never be a champion, and you need to stop fighting now. Like you are not. You better not.
He said, I don't think you compete with guys like Cain Velasquez and Fabricio Werdum, and Brendan Schaub was like, well, I think I can. And then Joe Rogan came back with the greatest line ever. I think you'd be surprised.
Uh, yeah, that was
I
a
was like,
hard.
and they aired it.
Yeah,
They aired it.
I think that was a hard. It was a hard episode for me to listen to. Only I get kind of not squirmish, but when people break down people like that, and then they don't want to hear it because it wasn't like Brendan was like, yeah, I was thinking about retiring too. He said it though when he was going to one of these fights, and while he was walking down to the fight, he said he was thinking about an episode of The Fighter and the Kid. Like, and he said at that point he goes, ooh, maybe I shouldn't be doing this because I'm not even focused on this fight. I'm focused on the next episode, which I think some fighters and even people, I mean, you're a military vet. You have to, if you're not in it 100%, you have to start thinking about what's next. And if you don't, whatever you're doing is going to stop and you're not going to know where to go after that. So to a degree, Brendan was doing the right thing, but I think once again he believed, no, I can be a fighter. I can be a fighter. All right, man, back off, dude. You played you played football. You're skilled enough to keep people off of you. He's not. I wouldn't want to start a fight with him, but by comparison to Canes and was it Verdum's?
He was a top 10, top 15 heavyweight.
Yeah, I was never impressed with Brendan though.
He had flashes. Dude, he's a great grappler. Do you know what I mean? And he had flashes of tough stuff. But was he elite? No.
No, yeah.
But right now, who's elite as a heavyweight? The average age for the top 10 is like 33.
Yeah.
It's unreal.
Can I say?
Kane looked great in the last fight.
I was gonna say, and I was talking to Bill about that too. We were talking on Facebook, and I said something to the effect of Kane's not injured, which is good. And he was like, "Hey man, don't jinx him." But I think if Kane gets through his camps and he's not injured, he's amazing. And I think because I was comparing Kane, I said who has better footwork than Kane, and what I really meant was Kane seems to move just as much as oh man, what's the Jersey guy? He just fought Aldo.
Oh, Frankie Edgar?
It seems like Kane's head movement and stuff is of Edgar's level. Because it seems like for a heavyweight, Kane's always moving and ducking and everything. That's why when I saw him fight Verdum, I went, ooh, Kane's not Kane. He's not even moving. But Bill brought up Stipe, and I go, yeah, Stipe was a boxer and everything. But I think Kane looked a lot better than I've ever seen him. Even when he was fighting Junior and just all of his fights, I go, he looked a lot better. He looked healthier.
He is healthy. He looked really good. Other than that, though, that was easily the biggest letdown I've ever experienced. Was hands down the biggest letdown ever.
Yeah. Are you talking about 200?
200.
Yeah, I didn't. For a guy that used to pay for Anderson Silva fights and UFC events, I didn't even bother. I said, to me, it was too big. There wasn't this big pinnacle fight that I wanted to see, and everything else kind of built up to it. It seems like they kept going, surprise, 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 and I go, okay, enough, man. You got what the hell? Two belts, right? The interim, then Tate's belt, right?
Yeah, there was supposed to be 3. I mean, look, you can't expect a guy like Daniel Cormier to come out there guns blazing after everything that happened. And he's fighting Anderson Silva, one with zero muscle on him, but he's fighting Anderson Silva. And if that fight would have stayed standing, Anderson would have pieced him up.
Yeah.
I'm calling that. Would have pieced him up. But he was smart. If I'm an Olympic wrestler, I'm not going to stand up with you.
Yeah.
Arguably the best striker in MMA history. But, did you watch 199?
Possibly. I don't know who was in that one.
199 had everyone. It had overall amazing fight after fight. It was amazing.
Yeah.
But 199 was easily, action-wise, the best card of the year. I mean, now, look what fight. UFC 201's coming up. There's one fight on that card that's worth watching.
Yeah, 199 was Bisping Rockhold. I saw that fight. That was, I know what you're talking about.
That whole card was unreal.
Yeah.
The You're like, how are these people? The Bisping knockout was like, yes, it was amazing, but the fights before that were like, you were holding your head like, are you watching this? Like one of those.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I honestly think the next big one's going to be the Garden. 203 looks really good. I think it's 203. The McGregor Nate Diaz.
Yeah, I think Diaz is going to get him again.
Yeah, I think Diaz beats him again.
Yeah, it's.
You never know. Conor comes out there and just beats him up. You never know.
It's nothing against McGregor, but I think Diaz. He's just a better boxer. Now his judo is not his jiu-jitsu is nasty. But if you're gonna try to stand and bang with Diaz, you might because he fought Dos Anjos. No, not Dos Anjos.
His fight to
yeah,
Dos Anjos.
Rafael, right? And Rafael just ate that front leg up. And Diaz, he didn't switch stances. That's his fault. He lost the fight. Cool. But if you're just going to try to stand and bang, I just don't think McGregor is going to be able to do it, man.
No. And if McGregor's smart, he does attack that lead leg. Nate never switches up. He's heavy on it.
Yeah.
You know?
Never switches up. That's the one thing if I said it, I'd be surprised, right? But that's the one thing I would try to get to is it Nick Diaz, whatever the fucking Diaz, man. They're both nasty. But that's the one thing I would try to incorporate is switching that stance because it can help sometimes, especially when the guy's circling the cage. Well, I'll just switch stances so I can still hit him with some power, you know? So, but other than that, man, I think McGregor loses.
If they're throwing punches at each other, I definitely think Nate has advantage striking wise. Now, could Conor let a crazy cartwheel kick across the back of Nate's head when he's ducking underneath it? Yeah. That's literally the worst part of MMA and the greatest part at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, a guy get touched in that sport, you get wobbled.
Yeah.
You know,
that's what happened to Dos Anjos. He didn't get beat, but he just got caught. And then was it Frankie Alvarez? Eddie Alvarez, he just jumped on him. He said, "Oh, you want to be wobbled? Cool, gotcha." And
that dude he's a savage.
He was a monster because I kind of thought, he's gonna have a fight on his hands, and he just went at him like a spider monkey. He just went at him, and once he called him, I thought he was gonna recover. I said, "Oh man, he's got it," because he kind of recovered, went across the cage, bounced off the cage, and I was like, "Yeah, he's got him." And nah, that was a good fight, man.
It was a great fight.
That day, see the difference. That day, the champion got beat. You know what I'm saying? The champion went in, did his game plan. He got beat. Cool. There's no way Rafael can walk away from that fight going, "I fucked up." Well, yeah, you lost, but he didn't go in there thinking, I'll just do cartwheels and got caught. No, man, he fought his fault and just got beat. Great. Easy day.
Dude, you get clipped. All it is, and then you're seeing three of the person in front of you.
Right. And in your head, you're like, I'm good. No, you're not.
Yeah, dude, you get run. You know what it's like getting punched, and then you're kind of like, you hear your eyes get really squinty. You know what I mean? And you're trying to focus in on that one person. And half the time, it's like, you think you're covering up, and every shot is getting through.
Yeah.
Every stick. Like, how is he still hitting me? But I mean, it's the hardest. To me, it is the hardest sport in the sense of when you have peaks and valleys, and when you have the pros and cons. In MMA, the cons far outweigh the pros.
Yeah.
If you think in reality, what 3% of collegiate athletes in football make it to the NFL, right? I think that was the percentage. Think about everyone in the world can throw a punch.
Yep.
Right? And then you have all these small promotions, and there's tens of thousands of fighters in the world. To think of, going to fight for 500 show, 500 win, and you just spent 8 weeks destroying your body just for that, and you lose, That's the biggest letdown ever. You drop a pass in football, league minimum $650,000. I'm
Right.
good to go. You know what I mean? Practice squad guys are getting $100,000 a year, and you could still go work at Mickey D's if you wanted.
Yeah, in the off season, right?
You know what I mean? You're good to go. It's a difficult sport, and it's the only sport where you could be at the peak. John Jones, perfect example. I mean, John Jones is his own doing. That's his own doing. John did that to himself.
Yeah.
You guys like Matt, who was on my podcast, Matt Hobart.
Yeah.
That's three. You have to make a choice: your physical health, or continuing to do something you love. You know, and Matt had 3 neck surgeries.
Yes.
You know,
yeah.
he's died. You know, stuff like that. He's 28 years old. At that point, you think, you know, okay, maybe like I had to talk the other night, and I'll say it on your show. It's the MMA and jiu-jitsu in general saved my life. It did. It was a very low point when I found the sport, and it pulled me back, and some of the most loving and teammate and family atmosphere that I felt out of any sport I played. I played collegiate football and lacrosse.
Yep.
So it is it's great in that essence, but it's so brutal in every other way.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is, you don't, even after you've been beat, after you lose, after you get your neck cranked enough, you don't convince yourself that this is it until the doctors look at you and go, hey, man, you will be hurt forever. You're already going to hurt just from being an athlete. But this specifically will hurt you forever, man.
And now with all this stuff coming out about CTE and, you know, about, you know, the concussions and, like, look, I've probably gotten sports included, my last fight, you know, sparring.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I mean, am I banging it out all the time? No. But you know what? You take 6 to 7 left, right hooks to the face. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, that mitts hit the back of your head, head kicks. Because we're in shin guards now, we think we're safe.
Yeah.
You know,
you're just going to hit harder, really.
Exactly. You want to still feel that. So you're going to throw 85, 90%. And people get knocked out and sparring all the time. So do I want to do that? No. I'm content, you know, if I can get back into training, and you know, in a sense where I'm training every day, and I'm doing, you know, 3 or 4 hours a day, who knows? Maybe when I'm 31, 32 years old and I get my purple, you know, we'll see where I'm at. But right now, the desire for me to fight, it's not there.
Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No worries. The desire for jiu-jitsu, that is there. Learning and getting better at something is there.
Yeah.
But you know, the other shit, it's just not right now, and that's okay.
Even when I did jiu-jitsu and judo, because there was judo, jiu-jitsu, and then they would do a striking class, and striking was Friday, and you would basically just throw combos, leg kicks, you know, just try different things, right? But it was all striking, and even when we sparred, it was all striking. So what would end up happening, I went to a few of those classes, which is great. So after we rolled on a regular day, even with judo, sometimes people would spar. We would go striking. Even then, I didn't like striking because I couldn't explain having a concussion at 37 years old, and I'm not an athlete. I'm not boxing. I'm not a former athlete. So that right there, I thought I really don't like striking. So even when I would spar with people, when I would strike, I would just throw contact punches, and I wouldn't throw a lot to the head because some of these guys in the place, Southern Maryland Jiu-Jitsu Academy is where I was training. Some of those guys are fighters. So I was 250. I'm not trying to knock this 185er out. I don't know what I'm doing, so I would just straight go for contact. That's it. Just throw a punch, move, throw a punch, move. And we never. I bought the the shin pads and all that stuff. I never used them. So what my whole thing was, and I think Tate Fletcher spoke on this before, the difference between hitting a person and hitting pads, your speed is one thing. And once you get your speed there, you're fine. So you don't have to necessarily strike with a person to get punched in the face. So what I would do, man, I would just I would just throw lefts, rights, hooks, and when I went for leg kicks or anything, it was almost like I was trying to kick you to get your attention. But it was left, left, right, left kick. It was just so hard enough for you to know that you're throwing it. And even if I got up there quick, I would throw it. But yeah, the thought of having these pads and thinking that you have to go 100% when you're sparring, it's overrated because people think that they have to do that to get better. Nah, man. I think Eddie Bravo's even said it. The drill is what gets you there. The drilling and drilling and drilling and drilling and not going 100%. Just knowing that if you're on your back, you have the bridge and roll to get out of that or whatever, however you're going to do your sweeps. That's what gets it. To crank down on somebody's arm or somebody's neck to really try to almost hurt them when you're doing jiu-jitsu or something, it doesn't get you a rank. It doesn't get you any more money. So when it comes to all of that, man, yeah, you really have to take into perspective what you're putting your body through, or you're gonna end up hurting yourself and someone else for nothing. And everybody wants to know how to fight. Everybody wants to get better, but I think there's a certain point where you have to regulate it, man. Because if not, you're gonna be the asshole that nobody wants to spar with.
No one gets better by hurting your teammates.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, there's times you're banging in the gym and you're laughing. You know what I mean? You're testing each other, you're giving each other black eyes, and that's cool. But there's always that one guy, and I've seen guys get kicked out of the gyms for it, is that no one gets better with some of those things. Like, you're going to crank on a Kimura, and it's 9 o'clock at night. Chill out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that was always the thing. If you get somebody in an arm bar or something, if your technique is strong enough, you've got that guy's hand. Your knees are tight. You've got that locked in. So when you go to bridge to hyperextend that elbow, you don't have to go 100% because chances are the guy knows the guy knows that he's caught, and he may try to roll out of it or something, but he knows he's caught, and you just try to crank it enough so the guy knows. And that's what I remember a few times with arm bars. I guess it'd be a reverse. So the guy that's caught will be face down, and the person that has the arm bar will be face down also. Those, as soon as I get rolled face down, I'm tapping because there was a couple times where the guy's trying to crank down on my arm with his body weight. I'm like, you're an idiot. What are you doing, man? Like, just relax. I gotta go to work tomorrow and check IDs.
Exactly. Dude, there's guys in my gym that are 40 years old. They got knocked out during sparring. I'm like, I'm afraid. That's the biggest fear I have, is that, like, I become that guy that's just in the gym, just buying all the new gear and just trying to say that I still want to do this. And maybe it is. Maybe it's someone's, like, journey. You know what I mean? Yeah. Maybe it's their thing that they want to do, but dude, there's got to be some point where you're just like, that's it. I'm just going to do this for fun. I'll go in. I'll hit mitts.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I'll do my jiu-jitsu. You know, right now, I see, and my professor, Marcio Bittencourt, he sees a lot in my girlfriend and Corey.
Right.
And I don't know if she wants it that much, but this girl's got talent, and she's younger than me. You know what I mean? So. Yeah. Got less mileage on it. So, she's fresh, and that's what you need. A thing about me is I've, been to so many gyms and trained so many places, it's very difficult to always find, you know what I mean? You end up just being like, you make so much progress, and then, I gotta go.
Yeah.
She's in a place where she can train all the time now, so we'll see. We'll keep you posted on that.
Yeah, I'll say she might want to just compete in some grappling tournament just to see what the competition is like, just to be in that, because that can give you a better perspective. You go, man, these guys are going 110% just in grappling. Do I want to get punched in the face? And these guys are just like me. They're working every day and doing jiu-jitsu or whatever, whatever it is. They're doing this on the side, and man, I got ragdolled. So I wouldn't personally. I wouldn't want to jump in the ring the first time. That's what I was going to do, was just go down to Virginia or something and just go to a grapplers tournament just to kind of, what they got, the new breeds, just to kind of mess around.
Yeah, I just did, the last tournament I did was a new breed one. It was not, the level of competition was great, I was not a fan of the. I showed up at 1:00 when they said my bracket was supposed to start,
Yeah.
and get on the mat till 4:00, man.
Well, yeah. Come on,
you're
man.
sitting there, but you got to think about it, man. You're warming up, you're cooling down. You're warming up, you're cooling down.
Yeah.
No, and then they're like, Betulia, match 6. And you're like, I'm drinking a coffee.
Yeah.
Like, you're just hanging out. You're like, come on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
the 100%.
I literally looked like a dude. Bro, I had my gi on, no belt on, and I walked onto the mat tying my belt.
Yeah.
Like I was like, all right, let's do it. I was like some drunk guy that came in. Like, that's exactly what I felt.
100% New York came like, I'm drinking coffee over here. What do you mean I'm ready? No, I'm drinking over here. Oh, man.
That's awesome.
All right, man. So you want to wrap it up, man?
Yeah, if it's cool, I could just plug a couple things.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to plug our show, Metal Lab 101. It's a podcast just like Arman, and it's more well put together. Just kidding.
We know.
I also want to plug my girlfriend's fitness company. It's iconicfitness.com. She will write workout plans no matter where you are in the country. She'll be able to get you on one. And just keep listening to GarageCast, man. Arman's a good dude.
Yeah, man. So yeah, it's Metal Lab. You guys have Instagram and Twitter too, man. So they're always working on something.
Metal Lab 101, Instagram and Twitter. Also Facebook page. We haven't been out there for about 3 weeks, but we're dropping a new content. We're doing a lot of stuff. Hope you guys tune in.
Yeah. All right, Tony, man. I appreciate the time, man. And yeah, I think that's a wrap. I appreciate your time, man. I will talk to you later. And Metal Lab 101 GarageCast collabo. Is that official?
Yeah, it is official. You got to come here and do one.
I will, man. As soon as I get some time, I'll shoot up there and be in the studio. Official.
All right. All right,
Tony. Appreciate the time, man. Thanks a lot.
All right, take care, brother.
All right, bye.